warm welcome to Zane Homsi.
So I'm sure we can all bring to mind that person that belongs in every conversation and has something to say about everything, and is the first person to make a new friend, the first person to start a conversation or change its pace, to tell you something enlightening. Now, I love these people, and personally, I aspire to become one. And in my adolescence, I've had more than enough time to read self-help books on how to succeed, 17 ways to be a team player, very regal-sounding titles that give you very little about things that you can actually do to become what you're trying to become. So after lots of thinking, I coined the term Geeksplorer to embody the traits of the people that belong in every conversation, that are the first people to make friends. Geeksploration, or the gerund form, Geeksploration is the word geek mixed with the word explore. A geek, someone who is infatuated by a subject matter and is just driven by this passion to learn more about it. And exploration, someone who finds something new. Someone that nobody else thought of before, or for that matter, something that they didn't know before. Together, someone that is infatuated by the discovery of something. So what does that mean? Largely it means becoming a jack of all trades. And that's not to say that being very specific in something is a bad thing. Because if you find your passion, more power to you. Delve into it. Spend a lot of time on it. Become a master of it. But what helps us mature is our capacity to know a few things about a lot of things on the spectrum. And going back to the idea that these self-help books really weren't helpful unless they had examples or tangible ways that I could work to become what I wanted to become. A few examples of the most successful Geeksploration. Now, I've sworn to myself that I would never read off of a slide, but Wikipedia sums up the Wikipedia race better than anyone. I'm just going to take a little bit. A wiki race is a race between any number of participants using links to travel from one Wikipedia page to another. The first person to reach the destination page, or the person that reaches the destination using the fewest number of links, wins the race. Why is this Geeksploration? I will tell you why it's Geeksploration. Because you can't use your keyboard, so you can't be that clever person that presses Command F, types in the word they think will lead them to the next page, and find it. You have to spend the 10 seconds, the 15 seconds, the 30, the minute and a half on the page until you find the link that you think will take you there. And it is that 10 seconds, that 15, that minute, the minute 30 of information that you didn't have before. Now that's not to say that you have to synthesize and memorize everything you've ever come across. That's impossible. But just having glazed over that amount of information is essential to your exploration. Now, I know some of you have heard of this incredibly unsuccessful, nobody knows about them band that never really did anything or never changed anything. And that description of the Beatles stood true prior to 1959. While they were in England, they were playing music that everybody knew, about things everybody already knows. Music that really didn't stand out in any way. It was in the genre that they all wanted, and they were common. Nothing stood out about them. Why would anyone listen to them? Now, I'm telling you, what makes them successful is that they were some of the best Geeksplorer in history. After 1959, they, as a band, went to Hamburg, Germany, and spent 5 years playing in coffee shops, playing on the streets, playing in alleyways, playing in supermarkets. Upwards of 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, for 5 years. Playing in a language they knew little of. Playing on instruments they knew little of. Playing in genres they knew little of. Playing about things they had never experienced. Completely foreign, dropped into a foreign atmosphere. And the kicker about being a well-cultured Geeksplorer is that you are comfortable with discomfort. And that is what makes them Geeksplorers. And when they came back to London, that's when we heard about them. That's when they came to the United States, revolutionized music, became my ringtone, everything. Is when they had synthesized their inner Geeksplorers and used it to their advantage. And the most important piece of being a Geeksplorer is when you come across another well-cultured Geeksplorer and you two have a debate and a conversation about something that enlightens you. And they will tell you things that you didn't even know, your next place in life, the next thing you want to do, the next thing you want to study, the next piece of information you didn't know was out there. Now, this is all good and well in theory, but how does it work in practice? Let's say I am 40 years into my life from now, and I'm 56, and I come across a problem that has such varying levels of complexity, but has varying levels of simplicity. Now, a way someone would go about this was they would accomplish these simple tasks along the way, but get very stumped over the complex parts. And it is a Geeksplorer that through their time of coming across new information and assimilating themselves with different ideas and theories, it is that kind of person that is able to combat the simple and complex problems at the same time and not be fazed by the immensity of the problem. And that is Geeksploration. The point is, I can't wake up tomorrow and say, I am a self-proclaimed Geeksplorer and I will change the world. The point is, it's a lifestyle change. You have to develop it inside you. It's something small that ends up reflecting on the kind of person you are. And the most important piece of a Geeksplorer's attitude is living in question. When you come across something, why? That is the first question you ask. But then, because you know you're not done, you ask, how? Because how implies a process. And when you think about the process of something, how did it get there? That's when you can follow up with the why did it get there? When you look at the process, you can lay it out on as if it's a timeline. Look at problems that may have arisen from it, different processes that came about it. And when you look at how, that's when you start to explore on the topic. The second is a quote from Epictetus, who said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." Why is this Geeksploration? Because if you are seeking to learn something new, if I'm sharing something new, I'm not learning something new. This is the selfish part of Geeksploration, where you can listen to someone, actively listen, participate in what they're saying, so that hopefully you can have it in your toolbox, so to speak, at some time. But that's not to say that Geeksplorers are silent people that never share anything, because when it is your turn to share, share. Share consciously, further the conversation, say something new, enlighten someone. Get them on their journey in life. Bring them back to what you want to show them. When it's your turn to share and you can share successfully, the possibilities are endless. And Geeksploration, in its most broadest terms, lie in observation. If I was sitting here and observing what is around me in this very instance, how did Jared Levin become ambitious? Why does Jack Lovelace play the piano? I will then listen, I will then share, but it all came back to my observations of what is going on around me. And I'll tell you from that, I can dedicate incredible amounts of time to just that. So, that's Geeksploration to me, at least. It can be interpreted by you all as something else. But I pray and I hope that you've learned something about Geeksploration from this. So go forth, explore. Thank you.